The Asura are a lower echelon race of beings from the Kamadhatu, or the Desire Realm. Asura, roughly translating to Titan, Demigod, or Anti-God, are guilty of the sins of passion, scorned as one of the 4 unhappy births. They are depicted to have 4 heads with 4 faces and 4 to 6 arms, adorned in armor and weaponry. The Asura only knows violence, piousness, pride, and gluttony. Spurned from the heavenly crags of Mount Sumeru for their animalistic temperament, the Asura became a very powerful, very capable foil to the gods.
I haven't got 6 pairs of hands, you know. I wish I had, but I haven't. Oh, well, I have.
I'm sure we've all asked this question at some stage. Wouldn't it be great to have extra arms? Think of all the things we could accomplish. Imagine how much easier multitasking would be. Well, for one particular untelevised character, this gift comes with a catch. In China's Qinghai province resides a seemingly innocent and harmless young maiden. Her name is Rouge, and getting to know her socially, she comes across as such. She never gets violent. She never gets hateful. In fact, she seems very insecure and humble. But spill a little cold water on her, and she does a whole 180. Like many others, Rouge is a victim of the Valley of Cursed Springs, Jusenkyo. Although, in her case, victim is not entirely the correct term to be using. Rouge did not fall into the spring of drowned bat. That would have been too obvious. No, of all the springs she could have fallen into, she fell into the most powerful, most feared, most dangerous spring of all time. Asura Nishwan, spring of drowned Asura. Oh, very tragic legend of Asura that drowned in spring 4,000 years ago. Now whoever fall in spring, take body of this ancient Indian demon with 3 heads and 6 arms. And with this body comes a great power of untold magnitude. Rouge is one of the most dangerous adversaries Ranma has ever faced. Fighting an opponent with 6 arms is hard enough. But what makes the Asura more challenging are the unfair advantages over its opponent. The curse grants Rouge the ability of flight, along with several patented attacks. She can blind her opponents with her Asura Flash, in which her entire body emits a glow brighter than the sun. With opponents forced to do nothing but shield their eyes, they are left open to attack and vulnerable to even more devastating strikes. Like a dragon, all 3 heads can breathe fire down on their enemies with the Asura Flame. And to further spice things up a bit, her fire can be channeled into the palms of all 6 hands and launched as the projectile-based comet blasts of fury. Imagine a demon with 6 hands throwing fistfuls of fire at you non-stop! But this is nothing compared to the Asura's 2 ultimate attacks. Swirling her arms around as she takes her shots, the Asura surrounds herself in a tornado of flames, which engulfs her opponents and incinerates those within. Such is the fury that is Asura Ultimate Attack number 1, Fiery Dragon Dance. But the Asura's power is not just limited to fire. Like Star Wars' Darth Sidious, the Asura can electrocute her foes with bolts of lightning that shoot from her fingertips, but with far more devastating consequences, for she has more hands on deck, so to speak. It pays not to be struck down by Asura Ultimate Attack number 2, Flames of the Storm. The Asura is such a ruthlessly savage creature, not even Pantyhose Taro stands a chance against her. And if you think a quick splash of hot water is all it takes to win the fight, think again! With the fire she breathes and heat from her own body, she can evaporate the water, dead in its tracks. So, what shall it be? Death by burning at the stake? Or electric chair? But what could drive such a sweet and innocent young girl to commit such atrocities? One who normally preaches non-violence and after turning back into a human is traumatized and remorseful for all the destruction she's caused. The answer is quite simple. She hates perverts, especially the vile kind who steal from her. Rouge came into the life of the Tendos and Sautomes when Akane found her in a fountain of boiling water, coincidentally not far from where Pantyhose Taro was found beaten to a pulp. When both found themselves in the same room together, Rouge repeatedly pleaded that Taro return what he stole from her. Everyone was quick to take Rouge's side, because based on Taro's history, stealing from defenseless girls is not outside his nature. But Taro insisted that he was innocent. As it turns out, although the Asura has unimaginable power, her body has significant weaknesses. Her ultimate attacks can only be unleashed with the aid of an external source. 6 metallic discs are worn on the Asura's back. These discs, her source of power, are what give the Asura her strength. With this power, she is unstoppable. But there is one fatal flaw. Her source of power is easily attracted to other metal objects, like a frying pan or a dumbbell, which is how Pantyhose Taro came into possession of the discs in the first place, although he did not know it at the time. But no sooner did he learn the truth, Taro's heart became greedy. His demon form was virtually unstoppable. With the Asura's source of power, he could take over the world! He demanded Rouge tell him how to use the discs. Valuing human life, she refused. What followed was an ongoing war between beasts, Pantyhose Taro's demon form against Rouge's Asura form, all with the Tendo house caught in the crossfire. So much for the value of human life. Ranma joined the fight to try to save the Tendo homestead as well as all mankind, but even the combined efforts of Taro and Ranma were no match. The Asura was unbeatable. Or so it seemed. It turns out there are ways to defeat her after all. They say 2 heads are better than 1, but that is obviously not the case with 3. Although each of the Asura's heads share the same thoughts and desires, together they lack coordination. When blinded by rage, they do not work as a team, and it is not uncommon to find them arguing over what direction to go, what cause of action to take, etc. The Asura also differs from multi-headed dragons, which will not die until you chop off all the heads. All you need to do is just knock out one of the Asura's heads, and her whole body is immobilized momentarily, regardless of whether the other 2 are still conscious. Another way to defeat Rouge is to fight when it's raining. Although the Asura can vaporize any hot water you throw at her, cold rainwater takes a little longer to heat up and evaporate. So should the Asura use her heat energy in the rain, the normally cold raindrops will heat up but won't turn to steam instantaneously, ending the fight quickly and easily by turning the Asura back into a weak young girl. But God forbid, should she retain her source of power, one's own chance of survival against the Asura is to either run or get a metal object close enough to her body and steal the power source from it again. That is, if you are able to get through the fire tornado. Most would go for the former option. What kind of source of power is this? And why do they like metal objects so much? Are they fragments of the crystal skull? Are they small-scale versions of the electromagnets aliens build to try and steal all our precious metals? Are they parts from Q's workshop that fell into enemy hands? Or maybe they are just ordinary magnet plasters that one can buy at the drugstore. You know, the kind that you use to relieve tension in the shoulders and for back pains. So it seems, unless you're an Asura, you can't take over the world with these discs after all. And unless you steal from her, it is doubtful that we'll ever see Rouge use her powers for evil. And to those of you still wondering what it would be like to have multiple arms, I think Rouge could tell you the answer pretty bluntly. It is a big pain in the back! This has been a Ranma 1/2 character profile. Special thanks go out to Pikachu Little, Ranma Inuyasha Lover, and H Trey King 17 for the requests. This profile was brought to you in part by JW Studios and by Shay.